Alright, so now I'm going to test out these sample papers Etchr sent along with the purchase of the notebook, the sketchbooks. Let's see. So it looks like these are the cold press, the perfect sketchbook, and the signature series. And this one is the cold press Etchr sketchbook. This is the hot press Etchr sketchbook. And this paper is the one I tested previously. And this is the cold press, which I could have gotten, but I went with the hot press. So let's test out the differences using the same paint. So the hot press, starting from that one, try to do a gradated wash. Trying to smooth it out a little bit. As much as I can possibly smooth it out. Okay, so that is the hot press, which is the sketchbook style that I currently have. Let me try the cold press. Ooh. I like the cold press paper better. Which is a shame, because I bought the hot press and it doesn't behave as nicely as the cold press. Definitely more pronounced in terms of texture. Okay, let's try the perfect sketchbook cold press. Okay. The paper is pretty good. Definitely smoother when you have a texture, it seems like. And this is the signature series Fabriano Artistico. Looks like the hot press also smoothed out. So at the initial application, it was a little bit patchier compared to the rest, but in the end, it smoothed out quite a bit. So I'm still pretty impressed with the way the paint applied on it. However, I guess for my purposes, I could have gone with the cold press, and it does blend pretty well. Let's try glazing on the hot press, the cold press, and see if it does any better than the hot press, because I know cold press paper having the texture, it might help it stabilize the paint underneath the many layers to do better. So let me try that. I am liking this cold press paper though. It's not bad. Let's just go all the way. For comparison purposes, I'll do a hot press as well. I mean, hot press and cold press are totally different papers, I think. It's for different applications, so it really depends on what you're trying to do. If you're doing more detailed work, then I would recommend hot press. But if you are doing more like landscapes and whatnot, then cold press, I think, is going to be better. Alright. Oh, oops, I accidentally touched it with the other stuff. Okay, last one. This is Fabriano Artistico paper, which is well known for being very good. I don't know if I prefer this one over Arches or not, but at least it's comparable in quality. Alright, now let me blow dry this. Try to zoom in a little bit more too, if I can. Let me move this a little here. Oops. Great. really impressed with the way this smoothed out actually. Okay, but in my application, in my type of work, I like to do multiple layers. So if it's unable to layer, it's not gonna be as good for me personally. Okay, let's blow dry. Alright, so sorry I lost some footage there. I applied the first coat of the second layer, the second glazing layer, and the Perfect Sketchbook and the Fabriano artistical paper on the Signature series performed really well. The cold press Etchr Sketchbook was better than the hot press, but it feels less good compared to these two papers. And the hot press, similar to the previous test, it doesn't feel as nice as any of the other three. And now I'm trying to lift the color as well. And let's try here. I'm not sure what paper is being used for the Perfect Sketchbook at the time when it was first developed. It doesn't lift as well. Let's try the Fabriano Artistical. I feel like it lifts a little bit better. I'm not sure if it's because the original application was lighter, but yeah, I think this is lighter than this. It lifts a little bit better, for sure. And this is the Etchr Sketchbook. I'll try to lift it. Definitely lifts. And lifts pretty well too, better than the Perfect Sketchbook. But maybe it's lighter here. Oh, sorry, I think I got some color there. Now let's try the hot press. The hot press surprisingly did lift as well as the cold press. Not sure why. Anyway, that's the lifting. And now let me quickly blow dry this and apply another layer of glazing. Alright, so my phone keeps not recording, but that's okay. I've applied multiple layers of glaze and now I'm going to quickly dry them. Great, it is dry now, and I'm going to apply another layer on top. So this is a different yellow from the original yellow. Let's see what happens. Still looks good. 4 layers. I can see it. I think I might have applied a little too much color here, so it is covering the bottom a little bit. But this color is pretty... see? I can still see the black underneath, so the color is not that opaque. It's just that the colors underneath are not showing through as much here. Let's try here on the Etchr Sketchbook. Cold press. Still looks okay, I would say. Now, how about the hot press? Actually, still looking okay. I still see the multiple layers, so it's not too bad. And now, let's see. Ultramarine. Looks fine. Ultramarine. Looks fine here. That's the third layer for this side. Ultramarine. It's a little dark, so I can't quite see the color underneath that much anymore. But yeah, I still see a little bit. Yeah, that's fine. This one is questionable because the original yellow is a little light. Ultramarine on the some more purple color. Looks okay. To be honest, they all look pretty good. I don't think I see a huge difference. These two definitely feel they're similar to me. This one doesn't lift as well. This one lifts a little bit better. But 4 layers looks fine. Here I see this line, here this line, different colors. This is a little blended here. I'm not sure why. Because Fabriano I think should be pretty good for applying multiple layers. The Etchr cold press is pretty good too. I still see the line pretty well, and all the different layers I can still kind of see it. The hot press, I'm surprised because I still can see many layers. It's just a different effect. They don't look the same, they look really different. Let me blow dry this and try another layer and see how far we can push this paper. Okay, so this is after another layer of glazing, and I think I'm just gonna call it quits here. Let's pick them up and take a look. So first up, it's the Etchr Sketchbook original cold press paper. Smooth gradient, very nice. Doesn't lift so well compared to the rest. The glazing looks really good. Multiple layers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can see 5 layers on this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 layers, looks good. In terms of texture, even on the 5 layers, I don't see any pilling or anything. There's a little bit ultramarine granulation too, which is nice. Yeah, definitely great paper. This one is the Fabriano Artistical paper from the Etchr Sketchbook that Etchr I think is currently selling. Great transition. It looked better before, but since I rubbed this part off, you can't see that as much anymore. Lifts better than the previous one, I think. But maybe it's just I applied more paint here than here, so this lifted more. Don't know. Layering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers. The 5th layer, I don't know if I can see everything underneath it as well on the 5th layer, but definitely 1, 2, 3, 4 I see very clearly. Same with here. Great paper as well. This one is the cold press from Etchr. So nice gradient, very smooth. Lifting is, I would say, similar to the Fabriano. Layering, okay, so that's, I see 1, 2, 3 layers. I think I see 3 layers very clearly, but this 4th layer and the 5th layer, by then I can't see the detail anymore. Compare it to this one. See, I can see more clearly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But this one, it's pretty comparable, I guess. It's not a huge difference that I could tell. Definitely able to layer. Okay, did I put it in the correct spot? Okay, yes. And the last one is the hot press, which is the one I have. very smooth gradient. When I applied it, it was not so smooth, but afterwards it smoothed itself out, which is kind of impressive. The layering, however, it's hard to say. I guess hot press paper is not so good for layering. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 5, yeah. And it's fine. It's just easier to lift the layers underneath, so it's not as good, I would say, for glazing on this paper. But let's see. It is a little muddy. Is it a little muddy? Let's do a quick comparison. What do you think? Do you think it looks a little muddier on the Etchr paper compared to the Fabriano and the Perfect Sketchbook? I mean, I didn't apply the same amount of every single color, but I would say for sketching it's pretty comparable. And then now, moment of truth, I suppose. I'm gonna scrub it multiple times and see how the paper does. I'm gonna be really aggressive with this acrylic brush I have, which is pretty springy. Let's see. Oops. Definitely doesn't lift very well. Even after all that scrubbing, it still doesn't come out. Oh wow, that's scrubbing really well. Okay, a lot of abuse to all of them. Lots of water. Scrub, scrub, scrub. Okay, now let's take a look. Maybe I'll blow dry it and see. Okay, now let's take a look at the areas that has been scrubbed. I don't see a lot of issues, but I do see some pilling, I think. But holding up really nicely, even though I scrubbed it like crazy. Doesn't look bad. Great paper. This one, I see some pilling for sure, but it's not too bad. Didn't dig into the paper that much either. This one, cold press. I see pilling for sure, but doesn't look too bad. Last one. Oh, okay. This one, a lot more pilling. And this paper has been kind of rubbed off the paper surface. Definitely. It's the surface of the paper. That's not good. Yeah, so overall I would say these three are pretty comparable. I mean, they're all cold press. This one I'm pretty impressed with this paper. It's not bad, but I do feel like these two behave a little bit better on the glazing side, and also the application of paint is a little bit smoother on these two. And this one, the hot press, it doesn't behave as nicely as the rest of the other three. If you're trying to scrub a lot, abuse it a lot, layer it a lot, I don't think it works so well for that. But for general purpose sketching, I think it's really good paper regardless.